says Grand Bahamians must take control of the economy. Stakeholders examining the rise in sea levels and changes on tap to impact food safety.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Roll-Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping the news tonight, the Speaker of the House of Assembly admonishing Grand Bahamians to take control of their destiny and bring the magic back to the city. While lamenting the state of the Grand Bahama economy, he questioned if the Hawksbill Creek Agreement is even still effective. His comments came during a sporting event on Grand Bahama. Ramiko Knowles has our top story.
The Honorable House in Moultrie says that it is time for Grand Bahama to take up its bed and walk. While making mention of the Hawksbill Creek Agreement, he says that in his estimation, Grand Bahama is in an odd circumstance.
The visionaries of the Hawksbill Creek Agreement are now dead. The successors and inheritors of the Hawksbill Creek Agreement have yet to show the vision of their forefathers.
The Speaker of the House of Assembly says that Grand Bahama finds itself in a bind because we continue to flog the dead horse called the Hawksbill Creek Agreement and expect persons who are inheritors and successors to function as if they were the visionaries.
The injection that has been coming into Grand Bahama to develop Grand Bahama has ceased, and those inheritors are simply selling land and collecting fees and taxes. So the agreement has now is functioning in the breach, and there's a drain from the Grand Bahama economy.
Before taking his seat, the Speaker of the House posing a question to Grand Bahamians.
So what are you going to do? Democracy permits a people to petition its government to take action in the best interest of the people. And so I'm suggesting to you in Grand Bahama today that if you want to see a change in Grand Bahama, the people of Grand Bahama must rally together to press upon the government to make the necessary change to break the stranglehold of the Hawksbill Creek Agreement.
Reporting for ZNS Network News, I'm Ramiko Knowles.
Meantime, the Grand Bahama Port Authority hosting an environmental seminar focusing on flood and storm resilience in coastal communities. Stakeholders from various agencies coming together to consider a plan of action in the event of a natural disaster. Director of Building and Development at the GBPA, Nakira Wilshcombe, and Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works, Iram Lewis, says that it is important for persons to be educated on the topic and to know that sea levels across the world are rising.
It's certainly a timely topic for Grand Bahama as we've gone through many storms and hurricanes and learning techniques of building better, looking at environmental considerations. And so they're here to enlighten us this morning.
We are an archipelagic country, and there's evidence that there's a consistent rise of about 3 millimeters per year with respect to the land not sinking, but the water is rising. So we need to be aware of those issues.
Senior Principal of Geosyntech, Chuck Wisman, conducting that workshop. He says Bahamians must think about the issue of sea levels today and take preventative measures.
And that includes, how do we protect the community, industrial facilities? How do we look at emergency situations so we're better prepared from storms, hurricanes, and just the general sea level rise that has been a general trend. And in low-lying communities like all of the islands in the Bahamas, just doing an engineering analysis and evaluation, doing the modeling and so forth, that we can take a step back and figure out what are the predictions and what can we do to improve infrastructure to be protective.
In other news, food safety, the topic of a meeting hosted by the Ministry of Agriculture this afternoon. Stakeholders being challenged to upgrade their operations in accordance to international standards that are expected to come on stream soon. Megan Shepard reports.
meat suppliers, restaurant representatives, and farmers taking part in an informal meeting hosted by the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture. Acting country representative Shakara Lightbourne says that a consultant was brought in from the World Veterinarian Association to conduct a gap analysis. Dr. Grigorian explains the purpose of the meeting.
I think it is very important for all of us, and not only for the representatives of the governmental institutions and agencies, but also for various stakeholders. The idea of having this gap analysis was born after the evidence of cases and outbreaks of foodborne diseases among humans, including, both residents and visitors of your wonderful country. And given that the tourism is one of the most important sectors of the Bahamian economy, ICA pays particular attention on that, and they decided to launch this project and to identify what are the problems that people that are coming here and people that are living here from time to time or regularly, they are affected by different products and have problems with health. And even we heard that there were death cases.
Lightbourne says that the World Trade Organization requires the implementation of the Bahamas Agricultural Health and Food Safety Association, which identifies the diseases that affect both animals and humans that could be a public health risk.
To see how Department of Public Health and Department of Agriculture and Department of Environmental Health work together to combat these diseases that could potentially be a huge risk to our tourism industry, and basically to educate people about a One Health approach, and there shouldn't be a separation between animal health and plant health and human health, because we're all connected. Even sometimes doctors and veterinarians, they don't work together, but that's why BAFSA's job is to make sure there's coordination between all these different agencies to make sure the country stays healthy and there we don't have any outbreaks. And if we do have outbreaks, we have mechanisms in place to try to control these things.
Lightbourne says that the goal is to be more proactive and preventative rather than reactive to health issues in the country.
The incidences of, I don't know if you heard of the conch poisonings and the fish poisonings and whatnot, there are surveillance teams in the Department of Public Health that record these incidences, but what we're trying to do is be more proactive instead of being reactive. Or, we had incidences of chikungunya where it was rampant, affecting tourists, and all of a sudden we reacted, but we didn't have the proper or all the proper mechanisms in place to kind of combat it. So this is where we're at now, to find out where the gaps are and try to fix those gaps.
So far, the team has visited Abaco and now Grand Bahama. She says the next stops are Andros and New Providence. Following these meetings, she says the goal is to put together a proposal to possibly receive international funding. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Stay with us. There's more news right after this break.